6-minute podcast. Business, study, life.
Okay, so you ready for this?
Always ready for a good deep dive. Hit me.
Right. This one's a doozy, though, huh? Prisons.
Yeah. Big topic. Lots to unpack there.
Are they effective? Are they worth all the resources we pump into them? We've got this source doc, basically lays out all the main arguments for and against, and yeah, it's going to make us think.
Good. That's the point.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right in, okay? The elephant in the cell, so to speak, is the cost.
Oh, yeah.
Staffing these places, building them, the security, it's astronomical.
No kidding. You start to think about the money, right?
I know. There's a quote here, kind of brutal, but prisons are an expensive way of making bad people worse.
Oof. Yeah, that stings a little. But it raises a good point, doesn't it?
Well, that's what we're here to figure out. Is it true? I mean, think about it. All those resources. What if we took that money and put it somewhere else?
Exactly. That's the whole idea of opportunity cost, right?
No, now tell me about it.
What could we achieve if those funds went towards, I don't know, education, job training, community programs that actually address the root causes of crime?
Instead of just reacting after the fact.
Exactly. It's a huge question, isn't it? Are we getting the best bang for our buck with the current system?
And then, there's the whole revolving door problem.
Recidivism, right.
Yeah, exactly. People end up back inside.
Happens way too often.
More than you'd think.
Yeah.
This source doc actually cites some studies. Over 60% of former inmates are rearrested within 3 years of release. Yikes.
Yeah, those numbers are pretty sobering.
It makes you wonder, right? I mean, it's like, are prisons actually helping people turn their lives around?
It's a massive challenge, and the reasons are complex, for sure. The individual's background, the support systems, or lack thereof, the environment they return to, all these factors play a role.
And maybe prison itself is part of the problem.
It's possible. I mean, think about it. Is the current environment really conducive to positive change? There are some fascinating alternative approaches out there, though. Have you heard of the Delancey Street Foundation?
Rings a bell.
It's a residential self-help program, focuses on personal responsibility, peer support. They've got a remarkably low recidivism rate compared to traditional prisons.
Okay. So maybe there are different ways to approach this.
Maybe.
Okay, so we've talked about the cost, the rehab issues. But let's flip it for a second.
Okay.
What about the main argument for prisons? Keeping dangerous people off the streets, protecting the public. How effective are they at that?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the fundamental justification, right?
The source is pretty clear. Prisons are designed to remove dangerous individuals from society. For our safety, for everyone's safety. How do you see it?
I think that's definitely a valid point. It's about striking that balance, though. Individual rights versus societal protection.
Yeah, it's tricky.
It also makes you think, how do we even define dangerous individuals in the first place?
Right.
Is it solely based on their past actions? Or should we also consider their potential for rehabilitation, for reintegration back into society?
That's deep, man. Okay, so that's a whole other can of worms. Then there's this whole idea of deterrence, like the threat of prison will stop people from committing crimes. Does that really hold water?
Well, that's deterrence theory, right? The assumption is that people are making rational choices, weighing the potential consequences.
Right, like, let me consult my spreadsheet of pros and cons before robbing this bank.
Exactly. But in reality, it's often more complicated than that.
Yeah, no kidding. Impulsive behavior, desperation, bad decisions, that stuff doesn't factor into a spreadsheet.
Not really, no.
So how effective is deterrence, really? I mean, does it actually work?
It's tough to say for certain. Studies suggest that the certainty of getting caught probably has a stronger deterrent effect than, the severity of the punishment.
Interesting. Makes sense. But still, you can't predict human behavior.
Nope, can't predict it.
Now, this source doc does mention that some prisons offer rehabilitation programs. Education, job training, therapy, things like that.
Right.
Maybe that's the key, huh? Giving people the tools to change their lives.
There's definitely potential there. Some studies show that certain programs, especially cognitive behavioral therapy, can be quite effective. But then there's the flip side.
Oh, yeah.
If we focus too heavily on rehabilitation, does that compromise public safety? It's a tightrope walk,
For sure. And honestly, is prison even the right setting for all this?
Good question. Some experts argue that a more community-based approach might be better.
Right, because ultimately those folks are going back to the community.
They are.
Okay, so just to sum up, we've got these crazy high costs, questions about whether prisons actually work, the whole debate about rehabilitation versus public safety.
And the whole deterrence thing, too. Is it even real?
Exactly.
Well-
It's complicated. There are no easy answers.
It really is a multifaceted issue. It makes you think, doesn't it? What would a truly effective justice system look like?
Right.
Not just about punishment, but actually getting to the root of things, addressing those deep societal issues that lead to crime in the first place.
That's a lot to chew on.
It is. But that's the conversation we need to be having, I think.
Absolutely.